Hi, I'm Gianluca Fiorelli, and welcome back to the SERP session. Today we are going to have as a guest a very nice, kind gentleman from Naples, and he's the CEO and project manager of SEOZoom, in Italian SEO software or software for SEO. Can be considered as sort of a SEO star in Italy, but I'm really glad that you are going to know him better or for the first time, because never something is so beautiful as knowing someone for the first time. His name is Ivano Di Biasi. How are you
Hi.
doing, Ivano?
Hi, fine, thanks. Hi.
So, Ivano, I'm going to ask you the same question that I'm asking to all my guests. How SEO is treating you lately?
It's funny. Actually, we are coming later because actually it's a few days that AI mode was released here in Italy. So it's bad news for us. But actually, I've seen that not so many people is using it because we have to choose AI mode just for certain queries. I have to say that the big change happened when AI overview was released here in Italy because we had a lot of traffic going down and went to nowhere because the big problem is that the traffic is not moving to other platforms or to other places. It was just disappeared. So here in Italy, we had the big problem to try to understand what we have to do to maintain the whole traffic. I've seen websites from 8 millions of visits in a month going down to 2 millions. So it's a big problem to manage. We have to say that all the niche about SEO is moving to AI monitoring. So doing something to try to understand if we are ranking inside LLMs and AI search engines. But actually, I don't believe it's so important for us because every single search engine made with the AI doesn't provide so many traffic. So it's less than big at the moment. So we are just focusing on SEO, traditional SEO, but with an eye pointed on the future. Because if the traffic is lowering down with organic and it's not coming either from LLMs, we have to try to understand where this traffic is going to. So maybe in the future that traffic will come from LLMs and AI search engines. So we are moving to optimizations of our contents for LLMs too, because maybe it will be the future. So we are doing that.
Yes. And regarding the impact of AI overview in Italy, and for our friends listening to us and watching us, I think we must remember that Italy somehow has always been used by Google as a testing place, which is easy to understand because Italy is a quite big market for Google, and there's just one language which is not used by anybody else. For instance, I remember back in the days, it was, I think, 2016, when Google started to test and then moved to everybody in the world the tags in the image search. We were the first one. And I'm seeing something similar in the percentage of how many AI overview are used. There was a recent research that it was showing that Italy was the country with the highest percentage of AI overview in SERP. And I shared also quite a few days ago a case. I was doing a research for a client of mine. I ended up in a search result page with two blogs of people also ask, and all the eight first questions were answered by AI overview, not the classic snippet from a search results, which is wild. And also, it's not the only place where Google is testing AI overview, because there is another feature called Things to Know, which is a really nice feature. And also in the Things to Know, I remember in one case where the main topic and four subtopic, two of these subtopic were answered by AI overview. So if I was exploding all the AI overview, I had have SERP that I could go to sleep and use it as a blanket, how much it was long with SERP. And actually, you can imagine why someone may decide not to click to anywhere, because
Yes.
it has even a page bigger than a Wikipedia page just with the search results. But I agree with you about the traffic. We always talk about Google, maybe because Google was the sources of our biggest amount of traffic. But very few really criticize something like ChatGPT or Perplexity, which are sending even less traffic than Google. So one of the fantastic thing and one of about the friendship I have with you, for that one of the reasons that I invited you to the session is that because of SEOZoom, and even it's really about the Italian market, but I think it's a good proxy to all the market in the world. You have a very wide vision of what happened. You just said that one website from 8 million clicks visits
Yes.
per month falling down to 2 million. I imagine that you at SEOZoom started to make analysis on different types of industry. What was the industry best? Was it, I mean, publishers surely were the most hit a niche. But what about e-commerce? Because I started to see AI overview, for instance, also for transactional or commercial queries.
Yes. The big problem is that people is not searching for keywords anymore the same way. Actually, when you make a search, AI is triggered when you are making tests about products. So maybe you want to find the best products with the same characteristics. So in that case, when you have to make the comparisons, AI comes in the field and asks and replies to you, making all the job you have to do manually. I remember in the past, everyone having an e-commerce built in a blog to try to match all the long tail keywords about the informational keywords, and then in their page of the blog, send the users to the product to sell it. Actually, all the blogs of the e-commerce are lowering in traffic because AI replies directly about the products, so the comparison of the products. The big problem is that in the past we had to make a search on Google about the product specifications and then click 10 links, open 10 tabs, read all the articles and try to understand which one was the best to fit our needs. So it was a very expensive in terms of time. AI comes in the field there. So about comparison and to help you to find something you could be really be interested to buy. I believe the e-commerce are losing traffic with the whole approach of creating a blog and creating informational content. But when it comes to the final part of the funnel, people goes on Google, make their search for that product, and just search the one who sells it with the lower price. So in that SERPs that are transactional, nothing is changed because people get information on AI and then buys on regular searches on Google. So this is the big change. But I believe there is another big change. It's about the real user intent that Google's trying to understand. Because when I search for something, let's say I bought a new house just 1 year ago, so I had to buy the bed, so all things I needed to buy. And when I was looking for inspiration and I searched for best kitchens with the aisle in the middle, Google understood that I was not looking for who is selling the product, but understood that I was looking for inspiration because in my search, in my query, I was not telling exactly what I wanted. So he replied me with the UGC contents. So it replied me with the galleries from Pinterest. So I had to go towards photos and then have my inspiration, then go again to another search. So what we see actually on the Google search are a representation of what the intent could be when a user makes a search. And it takes in consideration not just UGC contents, but also social media. So if I'm looking for something that requires a tutorial because it's easier for me to watch a video instead of reading a page, the SERP is not just made of pages because the page is not the good media to reply to my intent because my intent could hide the idea of seeing watching the video or considering opinions on social media.
Yes, and that's why Google also came to a deal with Meta in this case. So to present Instagram Reels is not really indexing them. It's like opening the firewalls of Instagram in order to have the Instagram the professional account, Reels, the Reels of the professional account presented in search along with shorts in the box shorts. And this is also an interesting thing, what you just said, which is explaining why for AI overview, but also AI mode, the most important third-party platform for being visible on AI overview and AI mode is YouTube. Because whenever Google understands that the intent is visual learning, so I want to learn, I want to understand something, but I want a video. Google has YouTube, and so it takes YouTube immediately, push it on the AI surface. So if clicks are not the real outcome right now from AI search on Google, for instance, a magic word in the last month has become visibility. So we have still tried to be visible, so to impact as if Google was a billboard in the street, with our presence and with our brand eventually cited and mentioned in AI overview to stick so in the memory. But there are several questions. First, how can you really track visibility in a way that is meaningful and not just random data of visibility? And two, how can you, let's say, find, okay, visibility for visibility is to know the data of the visibility is fine, but really the outcome of the visibility, this is what I want to measure. Did you find a way? Because it's a problem that even if there are people like Duane Forrester, for instance, that just recently wrote a very interesting post in his Substack about how to evaluate and calculate the value of visibility, it's something that still nobody has a result.
I have to say that there is a curiosity I want to tell you, and it's something that happened to me because I'm not just the project manager of SEOZoom, but I'm a developer too. So when I create a software, I try to understand what's happening on Google. And there was one moment, a perfect moment, when Google made changes to its SERPs, so the HTML of the SERPs. So as you know, every SEO software that is creating a Google HTML to find the results will not work in that exact moment because HTML changed. So you have to rewrite some portions of the code to try to match the results. And what it happens is very funny because in that moment, actually all our SERP in SEOZoom was just populated with the YouTube and the social media results. So what's my idea? My idea is that Google has two different algorithms to try to understand, to rank web pages and to rank UGC content. So I believe there are two algorithms that are separated. Why I think that? Because when they changed the part of HTML of the regular SERP, so web pages, we could not match that pages. But in the same SERP, we could match the other part. So we could match Quora, Reddit, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram. So everything that was from other channels that are not regular pages because they didn't make the change at the same moment. So that part has the old HTML that was not updated yet. When they made the update, we could see all the SERP again together. So I believe that when you make a search on Google, Google can understand what is regular pages and when he have to inflate inside the regular SERP the other kind of contents. And actually, I made a study and I understood that the other part of content, so from YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, has other algorithms to try to rank inside the regular SERP. And their positions are always from the third to seventh position. So they are always in the middle or in the beginning or in the middle of the SERP. So actually making a regular SEO just for web pages is very difficult because you can understand if I try to rank the second and third position for a SERP where Google decides arbitrarily to inflate a YouTube video, it's very, very difficult to work for visibility. So actually coming to visibility that you asked me, we have to consider this because that videos could be our videos and they not just make traffic on the platform where you publish them, but you can know in advance that videos about a topic can rank in that position for the keywords they want. So you can continue to make regular SEO, understanding that if you create a video or a post on a social media, you could rank in the regular Google SERP and take the CTR of that position to the video. So what do we have to measure? We have to measure our visibility. So the brand positioning. So we have to make multi-channel activities, and we can do it with SEO too. So we can choose social media content to create, starting from SEO ranking inside the SERPs. So I believe this is the best strategy to cover all the hints.
Yes. It's what I call doing stealing the definition from brand fishing, doing zero-click marketing, zero-click SEO on the
Exactly.
SERPs in order to be visible on all the potential features that can be triggered by Google with your omni-channel content strategy. And in fact, and this is something that can be done with advanced web ranking, but I think also, if I'm not totally sure, but maybe you can confirm it, also with a tool like with a safe software like SEOZoom, is that you can actually know how many pixels you are
Yes.
occupying, because that is maybe the value of the visibility. Because let's say saying that you are visible for a search results maybe twice, because once you are visible in AI overview as a source with a
Yes.
very tiny icon link icon, and once in the regular search because you are with your search snippet.
Yeah.
But actually you are the mention of the link in AI overview is substantially hidden into all the information in the answer of the AI overview. And the search snippet maybe is your ranking. I'm in fourth position, but fourth position after the AI overview, after a video box, after the
Yes.
first two organic search results, after a discussion
Yes.
and forum
No.
blog. So you
Yes.
substantially nobody is going to come to your search snippet because
Yes.
it's subverting the first page, but nobody's seeing it. But knowing the information about how big in pixel length is
Yes.
the page, and knowing that of this page you're occupying, let's say, the 55% of the SERPs, that is a good information for me. What is tricky is how you can then measure the impact of this visibility. And I think that that could be branded search, maybe, or direct search,
Yes.
or
It's
direct
both.
typing in.
I believe both, because if you are ranking in AI and your brand is mentioned every time when you are looking for some information about your topic, if your brand is mentioned, people will go on regular Google and will search for your brand. I believe this is the only thing we can track to try to understand if our brand is getting more searched. So I believe this is the only metric we have to measure to try to understand if the AI is giving some value to our presence inside of the searches. So we're talking about pixels, and in SEOZoom we made the same thing. We have the pixel position of the first position, second position, and every element in the page. So you can try to understand how many keywords I'm ranking for. Okay, show my first result out of the first scroll. We have this metric that is out of the first scroll. So you see a web page with the results, but the first results is outside the scroll. So you have to scroll to see the first results. It's because Google publishes everything inside the pages are very, very crowded. So knowledge panels, advertising, AI overview, and so many information, FAQ. It's very, very difficult to try to understand if it deserves to rank for that keyword. If you have to waste your time to rank for something that has a very, very low visibility. So this is what we are doing at the moment on about visibility of a single keyword. You can arrange all the keywords out of the first scroll and you can understand, okay, the tracker tell me I'm having 10,000 visits, but if the half of that keywords are out of the first scroll, you are making less of the half. Okay.
Yeah, so your CTR is surely smaller than the theoretical one. And going on the other side, so moving from Google and going to is competitor right now, which is not Bing, but is ChatGPT. You recently published a video, a quite long video.
Half an hour.
But yeah, well, yes, and I'm sorry, but it's in Italian for everybody not listening to us. But I don't know, maybe you can try this AI dub
Yes, I
functionality.
have Hagen. Hagen is with the cloned voice with 11 labs. You can make it in English easily. And it
Yeah,
speaks
yeah.
better than me actually here live in English
No,
because
no,
it,
but I was thinking more simply with the features, but also YouTube has for, and that some many influencers started to use that the AI generated dubbing of the video from Spanish to English or vice versa.
I believe that Google makes it by itself. I believe there is
Yeah,
an option that you can
yeah,
translate
yes,
voice.
it's an option in YouTube Studio that you can activate. And in that video, it was very clear. Was I mean, you explain things as they are without going too much into jargon. And you were substantially explaining something that I don't know because maybe it's considered something that everybody should know, but actually not so many know. The difference between asking something, having a conversation on ChatGPT or any other LLM, consider that it's not necessary to retrieve fresh information. So just relying on the training data that they have, maybe because it's a fact. Let's say when Julius Caesar was stabbed in the Roman history, this is a fact. It's not going to change. I mean, no need of fresh content. But instead, when the RAG and the grounding are needed by the LLM to try to offer the best answer. So just very quickly for all the
Yes.
friends that cannot listen to your video in Italian, just quickly a very clarifying definition of the two.
Yes. Okay. Let's start from your first question. You told that not so many people know what is happening when they do searches in AI, and it's true. But I have to say that I study every day because to manage an SEO tool, you have to know everything about what you are selling to your customers. So the first problem was to try to understand what was going on in the future. So I believe it was 1 year and a half ago, I wrote a book. It's a SEO for AI. It was my book about my idea that one day search engines based on AI will were born. So I imagined that Google will be changed in the future and something will start using AI. It was 1 year and a half ago, and there was nothing of that we are seeing today here in search engines. So I had to study a lot of things. So I have clear ideas on of how LLM works. So let's make the first differences. If we talk about AI overview, it uses regular search because it's an overview. So its task is to take all the results in a regular Google search and summarize the response to the user. So that's not to consider like something that is an LLM. It's just a reg. The reg just try and make a simple model. Let's call it model, but it's not so. So take 12 pages and try to make a summary of what you have to read in all the pages. So it's his task, and we can do something to rank better in that reply. Everyone is inventing new acronyms. So for that, people is talking about AEO. So it's answer engine optimization. Why you can optimize something for that answer engine? Because if you reply exactly what the user is asking, if you rank for the keyword, the main keyword, the people searched, you can rank for the questions that you are replying to inside the AI overview. Then there is another kind of search that is AI mode. With AI mode, it's completely different because it's not just searched one keyword, but there is a reasoning model that try to understand what you mean when you make your search. I tried it in Italian. I searched for torta di mele, and that in English is apple pie. So I searched for apple pie, and the reasoning model understood that I was looking for something generic. So when someone is looking for apple pie, is looking for traditional recipe of the apple pie. So he made 7-10 research. So different queries, found all the pages, and then replied me with the results that are completely different from the one that are ranking in the regular search of Google. So websites that were in first, second, or third position were totally ignored because the AI understood that my intent was completely different. And that is another job to do. And I don't know if we have to call it IO or GEO or something like that. In my mind, it's SEO for AI, and you do the best way you can. It's not necessary to find other acronyms to try to understand this. Another thing is when you go on ChatGPT, because ChatGPT, it's not intended to be a search engine. So the web search is just triggered for certain queries, not for all the queries, as happens in the Google ecosystem. So when you go ChatGPT and make a search, if it needs to make a web search, the web search is done. If the web search is not needed because it's in the knowledge of the model, the response, it replies you directly. What changes when ChatGPT makes a web search and when it doesn't? When it doesn't need the search, ChatGPT is like a person who studies for years and learned a lot of things reading a lot of books. And when it gives you the reply, it doesn't need to mention you in which book and in which page he found that information. He just knows it. So he replies to you with the information he have. When it uses web search, it mention and citate websites. So that is the point when it makes different. But if ChatGPT is mentioning or citing a website, it's not an added value to your strategy. It just mention you and citate your website just because it's in search. So what are we talking about? GEO or we are talking about SEO? When an LLM is mentioning you, it's SEO, nothing different from what we are doing from years. There are a lot of tools that are every day is released a new tool that tries to make your analysis about how your brand is mentioned inside the LLMs. But for me, it's a nonsense because if you are mentioned, you are ranking. So it's the only case when you are cited on mentioned from an LLM. It only happens when you are ranking for one of the keywords they are searching on a regular search engine. So I believe that we software developers are polluting the information of the SEO. It's a dangerous moment.
Yes, and I think that there is a. I mean, it's weird because neither me and you are English native, but I think that many people, also English speaking native people, are confusing between citation and mentioning. When someone is citing, I'm citing, for instance, the brand Ferrari. This is a model can cite the brand Ferrari without linking to the Ferrari or anybody other website talking about Ferrari, but it's mentioning, is citing Ferrari. When it's mentioning something, then it's I'm mentioning this as if it was between brackets with a link to the source. This is when the RAG version of ChatGPT is in action. And when we talk about answer without mention, without links to sources, I think that there you can try to do something in the sense which is just another facet of SEO. It's doing digital PR, doing branding for SEO in order to be cited by third-party website. You can do also all the spammy things that we are seeing that people is doing, of creating tons and tons of top 10 list of something in thousands of, the website that once were selling links now are selling this kind of top 10 list, or creating themselves list where they casually are the first one. And so you can try to work in that way, thinking for when this training data is going to be replaced by a new set of training data, because now the training data is like when many years ago we had the famous Google dance because Google was indexing, and after a period, for a long period, was indexing anymore. So the results were just those one that has been indexed. And then you do a new batch of indexing, so fresher content was coming. And somehow we are in the same situation with this specific type of search by LLMs. Yes, I agree with you when it's coming to the RAG part. So when they are going on search, do searches using Google, using Bing, using the SERP API. I don't know what they are really using. It's not so clear. Then it's SEO. And then it's probably more interesting eventually to try to understand, as you were saying, your example of apple pie, what kind of query fan out ChatGPT or in the case of AI mode, Gemini mode for AI mode is doing. And
It's extremely stupid. It's stupid to try to understand how it works because it relies on Gemini, so it works the same way. You can ask him.
yes, yeah. But I think that then also when it comes, and I don't know if you agree with me, when it comes to things like query fan out, which is also another new uh, technique, tactics, advanced tactic that is coming out, that people are doing with the query fan out the same mistake they did with the people also ask. So
No,
let's
it's not the
looking
same.
literally to the question and try to answer just to the question.
No,
Instead,
it's not.
what
It's
would
not.
you really suggest to this guy doing still this
Okay.
mistake?
Allora, I was talking Italian.
Don't
Okay,
worry.
I have to say that this is a problem that we studied, I believe, 5 years ago. Because when we stepped out from the keyword monitoring to web pages of monitoring, so if you write one content, you don't have to do it for just one keyword because you can rank for 100 of keywords. So actually, when I was developing our core of the software, I had an idea and I tried to make reverse engineering of Google behavior. I wanted to try to understand for which keywords Google was providing a very, very similar SERP, about 60, 70% of the same web pages in different keywords. Why I did this? I did this to try to figure out when I choose one keyword, like maybe apple pie, I need to know for which other keywords I can rank if I write that page. So we find SERP similarity for hundreds and hundreds of keywords, and we found out a cluster, a keyword cluster to try to understand when Google replies with the same kind of pages. So we find out these clusters, and that cluster actually, after 5, 6 years, is exactly the fan out. So it's what AI will search to figure out which kind of content you have to rank in your results. So this is the way I believe we have to make reverse engineering of Google and try to understand all the keywords you can rank for a subset, for a cluster of interests about people. So they can ask it in different ways. Someone could say, yes, but actually people is not searching by keywords inside AI engines. But the reality is that when you search for something there, Google can't have a database like the keyword one, so keyword search volume for each month, because they are infinite. So it's not feasible. They can't have a database like the one of keywords. So it's why actually Google only relies on the keywords also if the technology is changing. You search the way you want with mistakes, with the wrong pointings inside the text. But when it comes to make the real search, Google step down to keywords, search them, and give you the reply. So the most important thing is the keywords of the subset of keywords you have to rank for your content to satisfy the user needs in the AI too. So
Yes, and I would say in order to not to be too literal with the term keywords, keywords plus the intent that Google may infer by your search, because this is even easier with a conversational search for Google if surely from all its algorithm and machine learning that he has developed to understand what is the real intent behind this conversational query, and so for searching those kind of search results pages for those specific keywords that are can be by the conversational query and accordingly to the intent. And that's why when you were saying the example of apple pie before, you were saying many pages that were ranking in position 2, 3, 4 were used as a source because in the query find out of AI mode, maybe because exactly understood the kind of intent, it did very specific searches that trigger a very different type of search result from the classic one you would eventually see in a classic search based on single short keyword research.
Yes, yes, that they are completely different. And coming to the example of the apple pie, there was just 3 pages mentioned. So he didn't need to find for a lot of pages. He just chose it 3 because the intention was to find the traditional one. So if it's traditional, they are all the same. So I choose 2 or 3 and it's okay. It's different, the approach that Google have. But I believe we are making it so difficult when it's extremely easy, because we create contents. So that web page will rank for 100 of keywords. I don't want to care about the intent because the keywords are that one. So if I want to rank for that keywords, I write that article. If I want to rank for other keywords, I know that that article is not the right one. We have to write another one with a different focus to intercept other user intent, other buyer personas. So it's easier than it could seem. Now, it's not so difficult to try to understand. You can analyze a competitor web page. Okay, you can choose the page of the competitor. You can see all the keywords that he is ranking. His competitors are ranking. So find the subset, and if it doesn't match what you want to reach, because you have other interests, you want other users, don't want that kind of users. Okay, you can easily understand you need to write other content, not on that keyword, because you will never rank for keywords outside of that subset, because the subset was not invented by me. It's a subset of what Google is doing. So
Yeah,
it's not an algorithm of mine. I'm just looking at Google, and Google is ranking that pages for that keywords. Okay, so if I want another keyword, my content is not good. I cannot modify it because I can't insert a new keyword inside the subset. I have to write another one. So I
yeah,
have to go in
totally,
another.
totally. And let's talk about a little bit because, as you said, I think also as a passionate about search, not only because it's your job to always work on the core of SEOZoom. What about the future? Two questions. What we see now surely is not what is going to be the AI, especially in Google, and the experience of AI in search. And the second question, but you can answer later, what about all this agentic search that is starting now with N8N, with agents? I don't remember the entire name of what the thing invented by ChatGPT, which are two different things. Sometimes people confuse them thinking they are the same. So what are your idea about these two not different topics, but for me converging topic?
Mhm. Okay, let's answer to the first question. What I believe is coming, and the funny part is that when I wrote my book SEO for AI, I don't know if I drank so much that night, but I wrote it in one night, and I was an
Now, I remember
illumination
that you finished the book on a train from Naples to
with phone,
Bologna when
by phone.
we
Yes.
met in a conference. That you told me.
Okay. So maybe I was drunk. Yes, it was a
Yeah,
conference.
probably yes.
Okay, so let's say that I figure out that when it will happen, so if it will happen that there will be an AI engine, there will be something very different, because the AI will steal content from websites. So the website will not be cited and mentioned. It's more like in the whole version of Google, and it happened. And then I figure out that it could change everything about the business model, because about ads inside websites. Because if you click for a website and the clicks are lowering, every owner of a website will lose money. So this is what is happening now. But I also told that in this future that is not coming yet, Google cannot give you results just as how it's doing now with AI mode, because it's not good for them and for publishers too. So it will change. I believe that AI mode is just like a tool, a version that you can use to if you want to talk with Google. So let's say so. but it's not the real product, because Google needs to use shopping, it needs to use advertising. And I know that in the USA, something is happening inside the replies. So if you ask something, they are providing ads, I believe, and videos and something inside the result. But I believe that we'll see a Google going back to regular SERPs, but made like a document. So the SERP will be created by Google with the paragraph,
So this is
substituting titles and description, and citing every website where they made that the first snippet of text. So maybe
yes, and
it
this is reminding me of something that I talked with recently in an episode with Tom Critchlow, and we were really, really praising the test lab of WebGuide, because WebGuide is a good balanced use of search, because it's the filter web enhanced with AI. What it does is creating, substantially transforming the search results page in a pillar page. So
exactly.
you can see the classic 10 blue links because it's the filter web of Google search, but then you can see the web guide. So there is an introduction created by Gemini as the query is treated as it was a topic. So there are sections for the subtopic that Google consider that are more relevant for that query. It does a sort of query fan out also for web guide. So you have this, it's like a pillar introduction, then section about subtopics, and every subtopic is just a short introduction, then the search snippet, and instead we started to see it in the US in the regular search. Instead of a classic meta description, Gemini
Reply.
summarizing the content of the page, giving you a hint of why that research result is relevant for you, for that query, for that search you did. And I think that whenever we're able to understand how to put advert, because it would be contradiction because they cannot put advertisement under the filter web, because that is thought for just regular web search results with no advertisement, no safe features, so on. So I think that they are testing on AI mode how these things can be done, because actually the answer of AI mode, even if they are not presenting clearly the links, the search results, they are a main title and then section. So in this sense, it's similar.
I believe that will
So
be the way.
yeah.
The direction is
So
there.
whenever they understand on AI mode, which is a playground, live playground for them for everything AI, they already know how to put the video. They started to know how to put the image. They are experimenting with some shopping feature, and they are experimenting sometimes also with some Google Maps, so local search information. So whenever they are able to fix all the things, what I see is web guide pushed to the main search, just as a web guide. Web will remain like the classic web
Yes.
filter without advertisement, without anything, just organic search results. And AI features from tested in AI mode pushed also in the regular search.
Yes, but we have to know that when Google released the AI mode in the USA, he had to do that. It was not his choice. Google had no choice.
It
Had
was a
to release
business need
AI
to
mode
do it.
because ChatGPT. What was the Google choice? Losing every customer because he's moving to ChatGPT, or releasing a poor product because it's absolutely a poor product, like AI mode as is. So they published something that is not complete. It's just an interface. You make a query and it replies. So nothing so special. But I believe that it's just because ChatGPT was pushing, so getting new users. So Google had to do that. Actually, it's not what we'll see in the future.
And what about the agentic search? So which is
Agent.
somehow, yes, it's let's call it a semantic search 3.0, 4.0, because it's very big implementation of semantic with engineering and so on. So I don't know how many businesses are already will be ever ready for something like this.
I don't know if you mean agentic search for internal searches. So
I
our
mean, I think that it can be
or
both. I mean, especially for e-commerce, can be especially inside first in order to. But I thinking of, this custom GPT, the custom GPT, OpenAI, ChatGPT apps that now you can create, for instance, or so starting to have also this sort of. I just read today that Google is preparing API for using substantially something similar also on AI mode or something like this, which could be interesting. So the classic in AI mode, we have now the checkout. The image in search, we have now the instant checkout from search, which is similar, not really a true agentic, but we see that the platform are going in that direction. So there is the agentic on your side, but there is also the connection, the agentic connection with the agents of the search platform, let's call it so in general. So what do you think is going to be this kind of future?
Okay, I made a few MCPs. So we have the SEOZoom MCP, so you can use it inside ChatGPT and cloud. So you can make searches and ask data from a database that's coming from an external source. But I believe that is something really personal. I don't believe it that is something that could be inserted inside a regular search. So when it comes to AI mode, if they will give the ability to connect an MCP, the user have to choose which MCP to use for its search. So I believe it's something that is not under our control, and we cannot monitor, we cannot try to understand what's going on in every single search made in a personalized approach of use for the LLM. Imagine if in the AI mode, you could, Google decided to connect a booking.com MCP. Why not Expedia? Why not smaller website? Why not lastminute.com? So, or they have to integrate everyone MCP to be loyal with the whole the publisher, or it makes no sense. So I believe it will give the user the chance to decide which one to use inside their searches, because Google will have to use every MCP for every niche. So I don't believe it's something that will go global. So I believe that is something we can choose to use.
Just brainstorming inside my mind now. Maybe this could be a good to monetize for Google. So I'm offering you this opportunity, as now we have in the regular SERP, we have the block hotels, for instance, which is substantially paid local, customized for hotel. As we have flight. Well, flight, we don't have it anymore in Europe, I think, but in the US is still very strong. So something like this sort of MCP box or opportunity inside AI mode could be something sponsored, like a space for the monetization of AI mode, especially for transactional.
A technical difference, because if I use AI mode is a way to search Google, MCP is a way to search something else. So to search information in other places. So I don't know how Google could match this inside AI mode. I believe that's something you can do more in normal LLM, maybe in Gemini, but in AI mode, I can't figure out the real utility of that. So I connect SEOZoom MCP, or I connect Gianluca Fiorelli MCP inside Google AI or AI mode. I make a search. So Google, what I have to do? Search Google and mix the information with what is coming from Gianluca Fiorelli and from Ivano Di Biasi or other. I don't know how it could help. It's just maybe for a product search.
Yeah, yes, that's why I was thinking as a paid feature, because as an evolution of Google Shopping, as an evolution of Google Hotels, as an evolution of Google Flights, because instead of just presenting the price and then the link to do the booking, for instance, on booking on the website, you can do all the process whenever you choose which one you want between Booking, Expedia, Hotels.com, Last Minute, Trivago, whatsoever. When you click one, then is starting the, let's say, interactive part of the dialogue with the agent of booking, but in the surface of Google.
Yes, but I
And
believe
Google obviously having a percentage like it has now.
yes, but when Google makes a choice, can make huge damages or huge gifts to someone else, someone and not to others. So every Google choice is very, very dangerous. So I believe
I
they,
know, I know, I know.
you know,
Well,
all the newspapers in Italy actually don't know how to make money. So because all the
well,
traffic,
and must say that also many newspaper, not maybe the biggest one, but many newspaper now in Italy are really looking for, I don't know if it's available in Italy, the possibility to nudge the user to choose us as your source, your favorite source. So you know that there is this option for news
yes,
sites
in
in the
Discover
US.
you can like.
Yes, but also in the top news, in regular search, I think, that you can pre-select and decide, okay, Google, I select these, I don't know, the New York Times, the Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, whatsoever, as my free. I want always to see news from this and then add whatever you want. So I think that these maybe are just the little things that Google is trying to offer to the news industry in order to, let's say, try to be pardoned. I mean, they also announced at once that Google Discover was going to be on desktop, and sincerely, I still haven't seen any Google Discover on desktop.
No, I've never seen here.
No, but nobody is seeing it,
Oh, okay.
even if it was announced more than 6 months ago. Okay, so well, almost 1 hour. Just conclude. Let's put SEO apart and just talk about you.
Me? Oh,
Okay, so one of the reasons Ivano is talking has used the apple pie example, and usually, as I always do, example using mini painting related queries because it's my passion. Ivano usually use cooking and recipe queries because, like when I was saying to Rand is less famous than his wife. Somehow Ivano, even if he's very famous in the SEO space in Italy, maybe he's less famous than his wife. Flavia?
yes, it's real. It's true. It's true. But
Ju-
it was about because the niche, it's more mainstream. So cooking, everyone eats. No one does SEO. So it's for the audience. The same
yeah.
for us. I believe.
So Flavia is a
Yeah.
very known food blogger in Italy. And so a big shout to Flavia if she's listening and watching us. And let's talk about your beginning, because every
Oh,
SEO our age has a very different beginning.
my beginning in SEO is fun because one day my associate told me, "Do you know there is the SEO World Championship?" And I asked him, "What is SEO?" Then he explained me what SEO is, and I tried to attend to this championship. And at the end of the championship, I was ranking second. So I started with understanding that link building in that moment was the most important thing to do. So I just created free WordPress templates, gave it free, and I ranked the very, very high in the SEO World Championship. After that, I was known here in Italy and also in other countries because I got as first customer Expedia. So I started winning the SEO championship and I got the first customer Expedia. It was very, very funny. So it started this way, joking, playing. So it was a game for me.
And about playing, you always tell me and to all the friends when we are sharing time together that you have a past as a video game developer, and that
Absolutely.
eventually that would be something that you, if you had the time, you would like to do again.
Okay, I have to say that it is my hobby, but actually it's about 10 years when SEOZoom started. I can't have a hobby, so we are just. I started when I was 16, writing video games in assembly, C++, and I made a few games. And I worked for a company that bring the virtual reality in Italy. So it was about 196, 94.
Yeah,
I'm old
yes.
enough, so I'm 52, so I have a long time behind my. So I started with video games, yes, and I'd like to do it in the future, but actually it's very very expensive. So I believe it will be a dream, but I will never do it again. But I'd like to do that.
And you
I
are
sell
also,
I sell everything. I sell the company and I make games.
what could be a potential future, who knows? You also like to travel. What is the places that surprise you the most? Maybe you weren't having so big expectation, but then
There are
when you visited it, you whoa,
there are so many. The one I can say wow is the waterfalls in Argentina. So
Aigo Azul.
Iguazu, yes. And I went to Iguazu with a small plane, so it was terrifying because there was a stormy day and it was very, very scary. But when we arrived there in Iguazu, I believe it's the most beautiful thing I have seen in my life. So it's very, very beautiful. Then this summer, I've been in South Africa in Cape of Good Hope, and it's the second most wonderful place I've seen in my life. It's extremely beautiful. And my wife loves to see animals, so she loves to go everywhere there are animals. And I am the most scared person in the world about animals. So I did
So I
about
can
10
imagine you
safaris.
doing a safari.
Yeah. I did two safari a day for a week. So in the morning and the afternoon, in the morning and in the afternoon, with no coverage for the jeep, it was open. So the lions, hyena coming around. So it was very very scary. But my wife loved it. My daughter loves that, and I have to do. So I have to do it.
Yeah, yes, I imagine. Thank you, Ivano. It was with a
Thank
great
you.
pleasure to have talked with you, and I'm sure we have shared many interesting things and insight with with the public. Thank you
Thank
again.
you. And sorry for my English, but it's funny the same. So it's funny.
Well, your English is not that
Not
different from
so.
mine, so I'm not Shakespeare, so that's fine. It was really good. For you, remember, ring of the bell to receive the notification about new episode, and remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you and see you next time.